Surah Luqman, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alif Lam Mim. Tilka ayatul kitabil hakim. Hudan wa rahmatan lil muhsinin. Alif Lam Mim. These are verses of the wise book as guidance and mercy for the doers of good. The Quran is guidance for the muhsinin. Muhsinin are those who practice ihsan. Ihsan is to do something in the most excellent way, to do something to the highest quality. And muhsinin are those who do deeds that are of the highest quality. And what brings or breeds ihsan? Sincerity. The more sincere a person is in what they do, the higher the quality of that good deed. الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ, who establish prayer, وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ, and give zakah, وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ, and they of the hereafter are certain in faith. أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَى هُدًى مِّن رَبِّهِمْ, those are on right guidance from their Lord, and it is those who are the successful. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَيَتَّخِذَهَا هُزُوًا. And of the people is he who buys the amusement of speech to mislead from the way of Allah without knowledge, and who takes it, meaning the way of Allah, in ridicule. أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ, those will have a humiliating punishment. Allah says that there are people who buy amusement of speech. Here the word yashtari means to exchange or to buy. So either they exchange the Quran for amusement of speech, and we will look what is amusement of speech, lahu al-hadith, or they spend money on lahu al-hadith, amusement of speech. In the context, what is the context of this ayah? When the Prophet ﷺ was conveying and teaching the Quran, people were being greatly affected by the Quran. It was having a huge effect on people's hearts, upon people's actions. They were accepting the message. So one of the plots that the people of the Qureshi of Makkah came up with was that Nadhr bin Harith, he was a person who took the leadership in doing this, was to try and mislead people through lahu al-hadith, through different forms of amusement. Nadhr bin Harith, he went from Makkah all the way to Iraq, and he paid to buy stories about the great Persian hero, Rustam. Rustam was the name of a Persian hero, and there were many stories from childhood to adulthood about the great things that Rustam had been involved in. And these stories talk about amazing things that happened to him. He came back from Iran, Persia, and then he set up gatherings around Mecca where people would read out the stories, and then people would come in their masses to listen to these great amusing stories of the hero of Persia. So this was a way in which he was purchasing lahu al-hadith to mislead people from the way of Allah. What is lahu al-hadith, amusement of speech? It's basically any amusement or diversion which takes a person away from the remembrance of Allah and Quran. Scholars have said that it is misleading stories. Scholars have said that frivolous songs. Scholars have said it's music. Forms of amusement and entertainment that take a person away from the remembrance of Allah. It could be speech. It doesn't have to be a specific thing. It could be speech that's very amusing and entertaining that takes a person away. It could be stories. What kind of things do we see within society around us that are taking people away from the remembrance of Allah? Yes, movies, celebrities, not just movies. Now we have the spin-off, which is reality shows about the famous celebrities. It's not enough to see them in movies. We now need to see them in real life, how they live. And then there's a spin-off of that. Shows about people who aren't even famous, but they became famous because they were in the show. There's nothing famous about them except that they made a show about the reality of their lives. So people are sitting and watching people just living their lives. Sitting on one sofa and then sitting on another sofa, and then counting their shoes, and then putting their makeup on, and then decorate their faces. And people are watching. Is this not lahu al-hadith? Is it not taking people away from the remembrance of Allah? What else is there in society that is amusing people and taking them away from the remembrance of Allah? Specifically, scholars say this is what is taking away from remembrance of Allah. Music is something that is taking people away from remembrance of Allah. The more a person gets into music, then there's a whole scene that goes with it. So now you need to know the performers and their lives and what they're doing and who they're involved with and where they are right now in the world at the moment. So have you noticed, I have seen that not only do people listen to the music is everywhere now, but they even have it in, people are walking around with it in their ears, but no, there's something else now. Now you're playing it out loud. There are teenagers walking to high school with music. It's not even in their ears. It's out loud, like they're playing it. I was coming out of my home and I'm like, where is this theme tune? Why am I hearing a theme tune? And I turn around and there's a young girl who's walking along with music playing and everyone can hear it. So it's everywhere. This is lahu al-hadith, taking away from the remembrance of Allah. What else is taking away? What other form of amusement? Fictional literature can take one away also. Some fictional literature is read to improve a person's language skills. That's different to being so obsessed with it that life becomes about fiction and not anything else. There's something else. Someone tell me, yes. Watching sports. People will pay so that they can watch game after game after game. And what's the spin-off? Now you need to watch about the lives of these famous sports heroes and how they live their lives. And you need to see their homes, and they take you on a tour around their homes and the different things that they have in them. So more and more, Lahul Hadith is evolving and developing. It's not just simple storytelling anymore. What else? What else is Lahul Hadith taking away? Yeah, that's a good one. Stand-up comedian shows. Are they saying things that are good in these comedian shows? They are always saying vulgar things that you would not want to repeat in public. And people are like, hey, watch this show. Put it on and sit there and watch someone. And they'll sit there with their friends and be laughing out loud, spitting food out because they're laughing so loud, watching these lahu al-hadith. YouTube videos, these things can be used in a positive way, but we are talking here about the lahu al-hadith aspect, where you watch one amusing YouTube video and there's 20 links leading off. So you click on the next link, and then you click on the next and click on the next and click on the next. Before you know, you've spent 2 or 3 hours sitting watching that. Salah is really late. You jump up, quickly make wudu and quickly slam the floor a few times, and that's it. You prayed your salah. Something else I'm looking for. Computer games. I never thought of video games. People can spend hours. Grown adults. Okay, children can spend hours. Teenagers can spend hours on them. And then adults can spend hour after hour on video games. Playing them. Lahu al-hadith. Everyone needs to relax and they need to let off steam. That's perfectly fine. And everyone should do that for a while. And everyone has their own thing that they prefer to do. That's perfectly acceptable. And for some it might be that they play video games sometimes. But the hours that are spent in virtual reality, it's not actual reality, it's virtual reality. Playing games, you're winning and losing. Are you actually winning something? What did you win when you won that video game? No, you must have won something because it made you really happy. It's virtual reality. It's lahu al-hadith. Great competitions. People playing with others online all around the world, living a life of virtual reality. What does all this lahu al-hadith do? It takes people away from the seriousness of life. Because suddenly life, Quran, deen, oh my God, restrictions, accountability, laws, hereafter, oh my God, just a lot to take in when I have a virtual life to live. In previous times, things were used, alcohol or certain other things were used to oppress the people and keep them busy and away from the reality of life and what's really important. Now media is that outlet, which is you can see quite clearly, everybody busy. When is the next game? When is the next episode? When is the next movie? When is the next season? And then there's a famous movie in the next installment, part 1, part 2, serials. This is part 1 ended on the cliffhanger, part 2 is coming up. And then the video games, when is the upgrade of this video game? So all the time people are texting one another, phoning one another, arranging with one another to meet up to enjoy the next lahu al-hadith. The next movie, the next computer game, the next whatever it is. So everyone is so busy in this that we're not aware of what is really happening around us. We don't focus on the things that are important. And it's just a distraction, distracting people from the reality of life. And then the Quran, what it says, what the deen says seems so alien, so literally from another world. You will see the youth now when you talk to them of Quran, modesty, what is modesty? Shyness, what is shyness? That's bad, it's not good, you have to be confident. There's just not an understanding. Piety, who wants to be pious? Nobody wants to be pious, we want to look good. So all of this is promotion of lahu al-hadith, taking away لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, to mislead from the way of Allah, بِغَيْرِ عِلْم, without knowledge. Those who are doing this are doing it without the knowledge of the deen, without knowing the impact. Those who follow do so without knowledge. And when our verses are recited to him, he turns away arrogantly as if he had not heard them. Meaning when the Quran is recited, clearly a person who is involved in lahu al-hadith, he's not going to want to listen to Quran. As if there was in his ears deafness. This is a grave thing. No reaction. You recite Quran, you read Quran, you teach Quran. It seems so boring compared to all of these other things. Many times people have said that when they teach young children, and I remember one activist in terms of deen, he said he asked the children, so what is the best story in the world? And he was expecting that Surah Yusuf is the best story in the world. And he's like, they came up with all these names of these computer games and all these movies and all these superheroes. Superheroes, Rustam, the champion of Persia. So they came up with so many different superheroes. He's like, no. It's Surah Yusuf. And they're like, okay, if you say so. So give him tidings of a painful punishment. Indeed, those who believe and do righteous deeds, for them are the gardens of pleasure, wherein they abide eternally. It is the promise of Allah, which is truth, and He is the exalted in might, the wise. He created the heavens without pillars that you see, and has cast into the earth firmly set mountains, lest it should shift with you, and dispersed therein from every creature. And we sent down rain from the sky, and made grow therein plants of every noble kind. This is the creation of Allah. So show me what those other than Him have created. Rather, the wrongdoers are in clear error.